Hi everyone, I wanted to come on here and provide a little bit of context to some of the allegations against Lenon Honor regarding accusing him of running a scam on GoFundMe. So right now, my current profession is the wellness industry, around the healthcare industry. So I'm not a healthcare practitioner, but I work in the industry, right? Before that, I had over 10 years in fundraising, right? So, and I'm still sort of adjacent to a lot of not fundraisers, but nonprofit organizations, through just community work. So, this isn't for the people who have already, sort of embraced the lies and who have been instrumental in making the lies, because those people are just going to do what they do. But what concerns me is the people who are undecided or who are ill-informed, are just underinformed about what's going on, and it worries me that sensible people would be taking talking points from these individuals who make up lies and exacerbate truths and distort reality, and all for the purpose of clicks and views and causing chaos and confusion and sadism and what have you. So let me just tell you that I did review, I don't know if the GoFundMe is still up, but I did review it. I've been through social media connected to the Honor family for many years, many years. First on Facebook with his wife, and then through YouTube through their family channel, which is the Lenon Honors channel. So I've been aware of the Honor family for many years. Somehow or another, I believe we got disconnected around the time that this fundraiser was happening for his son. I wasn't aware of the fundraiser. I wasn't aware of the health scare until it was already, just recently, in other words. So it's already been resolved. I wasn't aware of what was going on. But, through going through some of the content, one of those videos was suggested to me. One of the videos whereby Lenon was expressing what was going on with his son, and I really sympathize and empathize with him. And by the time that video had been suggested to me, the issue had already been resolved. And Lenon had moved on to creating different types of content, and wasn't really creating that type of content anymore. So I didn't think much of it. So as his YouTube channel has grown in popularity, and he is doing exceptional work documenting and providing commentary regarding the FDMG scam, and Umar Johnson being the abusive scammer that he is. Umar has attracted a cadre of criminals and liars, scammers, just really the lowest quality of people on YouTube. They all congregate underneath the Umar Johnson FDMG banner. These individuals have gone through in attempts to undermine Lenon Honor and defame Lenon Honor and attempt to hurt him, have gone through his old content, and being the disgusting individuals that they are, have really honed in on focusing on the children, the most vulnerable and innocent beings, around, the children who have absolutely nothing to do with any of this. And so they claim, okay, so let me just back it up. So one of Lenon Honor's sons, I want to say, had a unknown medical issue. I think it was a lump or something of that nature, and when he took the child to the doctor, they initially wanted to do a bunch of testing for cancer, and that's what they thought it was. And through, he went through a whole course of testing and diagnostics, and ultimately, I want to say that the issue was benign. And he collected money to pay for the medical expenses for this testing. And the people who don't like Lenon and want to attempt to hurt him have claimed that it was all a scam, and since his son is indeed okay, he should have given the money back. Now, of course, anybody sensible knows that that's not how life works, and that it's totally reasonable to... Okay, let me just back up before I get to my conclusion about that. Let me just back up. So, because of the industry that I work in around the medical field, and I work with parents and children. So, one day, this was last year? Was this before this was 2 years ago, because this was before the pandemic. So 2 years ago, my child actually had a health issue, and I had taken her to urgent care and thought that the issue was resolved, and it wasn't, and it got worse. So I took her to the hospital. At the hospital, I ran into an old... I was in the cafeteria, and I ran into an old client of mine, and so she was there for the child that I had previously worked with her, with, and this child, and she looked so distraught. She looked she looked pale. She looked like she hadn't been eating. She looked tired. I could tell something was really, really troubling her. And so I said, hey, what's going on? And she said, my son is sick, and they don't know what it is, and they think it's XYZ, and they say that he has a couple months to live, and we need to make arrangements. And my breath was taken away. What do you do to console a mother who has been told that her son has possibly a few months to live, a few days to a few months to live? What can you say to her? What can you say? I offered some services to her pro bono for another situation that she was in, because I just wanted to do anything that I could do to try to alleviate some stress off of her. I wanted to do it. So she agreed to accept those services. She said that they would be helpful for her in the moment of stress that she was having. We exchanged information, and I would follow up with her to provide whatever support I could in her situation. I say, and ultimately, she went to different specialists, and really the answer was ultimately, we don't know what's wrong with your son. That was the real answer. So now he has different therapies that he does. He has just different therapies and different specialists for different things, including home health, right? But I do think it was irresponsible for the doctors to render that, diagnoses or, encourage her to make arrangements, and they really didn't know what was going on. Instead of just saying, we don't know, they just told her something, or they just told her the worst case scenario. And and I've seen that in other situations whereby there's radiography involved, and I have seen techs. So there's three different people involved. You have the doctor that's ordering the radiography, you have the tech that's doing it, and then you have the radiologist that's interpreting the findings. I've seen so many times where the tech, whose only job is supposed to be to take the pictures, take the images, that's all you're supposed to do. You're not supposed to talk to the patient about what you see. You talk to the patient about what you're doing, but you don't talk to the patient about what you see. The reason why you don't talk to the patient about what you see is because you are not qualified to make a diagnosis. You see, I have seen on so many occasions texts tell parents, oh, it's this. And it freaks the parents out. It freaks them out. And guess what? Ultimately, they don't know what the hell they're talking about. Because by the time it gets back, the diagnosis from the radiologist, it's not what the tech thought. You know, or ultimately we find out it just wasn't that bad. Or even if it is bad, it's better that the doctor is the one to tell the patient. That way they can explain and go into depth, as opposed to the tech who cannot, because they don't have all that training, you see. So I know this happens. So I wasn't surprised when Lenon got information and had a strong reaction to what was told to him initially by the medical professionals, and ultimately his son was okay. I've seen it happen all the time to parents. So I wasn't surprised. I wasn't alarmed. You know, I feel saddened about it because I don't think it's right. For me personally, my style of working is that I take a very conservative approach when telling parents their options and telling parents what's going on, because I don't want them to freak out unnecessarily. So I would rather gather all of the information and explore all the options before telling a parent one way or another, because I don't like to fearmonger. And that happens a lot in the medical system, the fear-mongering. And sometimes it's to make the parents do, you know, I don't know. I don't want to make speculations as to why doctors do that, why different medical staff do that. But what I can tell you is that it happens. It's not uncommon. It's not uncommon. So, given that information about his son, you know, he goes forth and proceeds with the medical treatment that is necessary. Rather, not treatment, but I think it was mostly testing and diagnostics to try to figure out exactly what's going on. And that's to be expected. I mean, if your child is sick, you're going to do everything in your power to figure out what is going on with your child. So he went to the internet to pay for those costs. I think that the big criticism is that, you know, why didn't you apply for Medicaid and get Medicaid and have Medicaid pay for everything? Or, you know, why didn't you just have all this money to pay cash out of your own pocket? Why did you go online to fundraise? Listen, we are ADOS, okay? We are ADOS. And we are some of the most economically vulnerable people in this country, according to the data. So you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. These people despise Lenon for various reasons. They really despise their own selves and are projecting their hatred on a random person, which is Lenon. And even if he had applied for Medicaid and they found out about that, they would be criticizing him for using taxpayer dollars. But he went directly to the people and got, you know, did this fundraiser on GoFundMe, and you criticize. But when someone doesn't like you, or they hate themselves and they just want to be evil and spiteful, it doesn't matter what you do. They're going to criticize it no matter what you do. You go to college, they're going to criticize that. You know, you stay married to your spouse for multiple years, they're going to criticize that. You raise your children and do the best you can, they're going to criticize that. So there's no winning when you're dealing with demons. So, and to be honest with you, Lenon actually used GoFundMe for its purpose. GoFundMe is a platform that was created to raise money in a short-term interim for a specific cause. That's what it's for. It's for a beginning, middle, and end. That's what GoFundMe is for. I have advised people whenever I was a fundraising consultant to not use GoFundMe and platforms like it for ongoing expenses of a nonprofit or community project. That's not what GoFundMe is for. That's why when you go on GoFundMe, you say how much you need for whatever it is that you have going on. And then they have a bar that tracks, the progress towards that goal. So it could be a surgery, it could be maybe someone has an accident, or maybe someone passes away. You need to raise money for funeral costs, and maybe some money for the family to alleviate the lost income of that person. Those are the types of things that GoFundMe is for. It's specifically for that. That's what it's for. It's for situations, unforeseen situations. Sometimes nonprofit organizations will use it as well. But Umar had totally abused GoFundMe, because he was using GoFundMe in a way that it was not intended to be used. He used it, first of all, as a scam, but even beyond it being a scam, he used it as a way to fund ongoing expenses that nobody knows about. Nobody to this day has ever received a detailed reporting of where the funds have been sent. The Form 990, which I'll do a whole nother video on understanding nonprofit fundraising, because I really think that as a Black community, we need to become more savvy on that issue, so to avoid being scammed in the future. But I'll record a whole nother video on that. But the 990 is supposed to disclose certain information to the public to account for how the nonprofit has been spending the money, right? Umar was asked on the Lord Jamar show, well, the people want accountability. What have you done with the money? He said, I am accountable. I spent money on the school. That's accountability. If you want more accountability, if you don't know if that's not accountability, I don't know what is, or something along those lines. So basically, him saying I spent money on the school is all the reporting you're going to get. So nobody has any idea what his salary is. Nobody has any idea on the contractors that he has acquired. Nobody has any idea on how much money he has spent on travel, because he said that he had been spending money to do the school search. So he's traveling around the country, supposedly looking at property for schools, and that money is coming out of the FDMG budget that people donated to. To this day, no one's even received a thank you letter acknowledging, or a receipt, for their donation. But like I said, I'll do a whole nother video about that, because you should know what your rights are as a donor to a nonprofit organization. You should know what to expect from a legitimate institution, which FDMG is not. FDMG is a scam. So Umar is actually the one was the one who was abusing GoFundMe. Of course, it's since been shut down due to fraud and multiple people requesting refunds from the GoFundMe. Lenon Honor actually used GoFundMe for its intended purpose, which is if you have a crisis or an emergency or a specific project that comes up that needs to be addressed, you have a specific amount of money, you raise that money, you let the donors know how it goes, and then you move on. So I don't know if Umar's, I don't know if Lenon's GoFundMe is still up, but when I did check it out, he had sent several updates to the donors about what was going on, about what they had going on. He also posted videos on YouTube about what specific test he was doing, and he had actually a detailed dollar for dollar how much everything cost, so that the people who contributed to that particular campaign to assist him and his family and his son, they know that the money was spent, and they know exactly by the dollar how much money was spent on what. No FDMG donor anywhere on the face of this planet, Umar doesn't even know how much money he spent. He has no idea, because Umar spends the money as it comes in. I have a business, so I do most of my own bookkeeping. I do most of my own bookkeeping, and I usually file my own taxes. So when I have money coming in, I account for all that money through an accounting system, and I assign it to a specific service or product, and then I count that money coming in, and then that money sits in, and then there's other money coming out, and all the money going out also is accounted for my own. I don't have to disclose any of that because I have a private business. I don't have to disclose that to anyone. But when you have a public corporation or a public nonprofit corporation, you do have to disclose certain things to the public, and you have to disclose certain things to the donors. You have to legally spend the money on what people gave you the money for. And like I need to just I'll do a whole nother video, like I said, on nonprofit fundraising and nonprofit finances, right? But Lenon gave a dollar for dollar breakdown about how everything was spent, which is a very it's just a very above board way to conduct, to interface with people who, you had a situation, a crisis, an unforeseen crisis come up, and then it's just to show gratitude and respect for those who cared enough to contribute to the campaign. The thing that I wanted to say was, one of the arguments that was made was that since his son indeed didn't have cancer, that Lenon Honor should that Lenon Honor should refund the money to the people who donated. First of all, everyone was relieved. If you look at the comments back on the GoFundMe and the YouTube, everyone was relieved to find out that his son didn't have cancer. No one requested a refund. And furthermore, that's not how medical services work. Medical services are a sunk cost. So when you go into your doctor's office and you go in for a physical exam and they take blood work for you, that blood work is done, and let's say that you're just fine. Guess what? The person who drew the blood gets paid, the vials, the needle, the transportation to the lab tech, everybody that transported it back, the people who entered, all these people are getting paid. So these are all what you call sunk cost. That's no medical place on the face of this planet says, well, you only have to pay if we find something that's wrong with you. That's not how life works. These people are idiots to even suggest that nothing was found, so therefore give the money back. Are you kidding me? Just complete buffoons, idiots, literally grasping at straws. They're grasping at straws, trying to create a negative narrative on a generally positive person. Oh gosh, how miserable do you have to be? So, in conclusion, I just wanted to provide some context to this, and that I really hope that neutral content creators don't take those talking points from the demons who are spewing lies and making up all kinds of shenanigans because they don't like themselves and are projecting that onto Lenon Honor. And just know that, hey, anything can happen to any of us, and that yes, a campaign was done, it was finished, and it's over with, and it's a done deal at this point in time, and that the information that is being shared by those, there is, but in other words, let me just say this, there's no cancer scam. There's no cancer scam. And you're welcome to look through the old content yourself to verify that, but please verify before you repeat something, and please always check your source. If your source is a lying, conniving, and scamming individual, it would behoove you not to repeat what they say. Thanks for listening. Peace and love.
Thank you so much for sharing your time and attention with the Afrocentric Woman. Special gratitude to our subscribers. If you'd like to stay connected with this channel and you haven't subscribed yet, please do so by hitting the subscribe button and the notification bell. If you like this content, please hit the like button. If you have any comments or thoughts about the content shared, please drop down into the comment section and let us know. Remember, you are worthy, you are enough, you are unique, and you are lovable. And I appreciate you.